You ready? Ready? Let's do this!
In Forza Horizon 4, the Open World Racer series transplants its titular Horizon Motoring Festival to the land of our birth, which is to say, Great Britain. And we're so excited to be hooning around a simulated, idealised version of our homeland that we'd like to take you on a tour of the Britishest things we've seen so far in this land of hope and glory and motorway service stations selling Cornish pasties and neck pillows.
At the roundabout, take the second exit.
There are going to be a few of our American friends who are baffled by the presence of roundabouts, or traffic circles, when they appear in Forza Horizon 4. For the uninitiated, they're basically what happens when you replace the traffic lights at an intersection with a whirling, chaotic, circular free-for-all. Forza Horizon 4 features some really substantial quality roundabouts, allowing people to experience what surely every Brit driver has at some point or other, missing your exit and having to go all the way around the roundabout to get to it again. And no, just because it's a video game doesn't mean you should turn around and drive anti-clockwise. The highway code forbids it. At least in the game you can do sick power slides around the thing without getting your collar felt by PC plods. Which, again, for our American friends, is UK English for getting busted by the 5-0? That just sounds weird when I say it.
Excited? I remember my first day at Horizon. It's all pretty surreal, huh?
In Forza Horizon 3, your starter car was a 500 plus horsepower Australian pickup truck. The only problem with that sort of power in a country as small as the UK is that if you put your foot down on the accelerator, you'd instantly be at the opposite end of Britain, ploughing into the ocean. That would make for a very short game. That's why one of the first cars you can add to your garage is the same sort that British teens do when they finally pass their driving test on the 5th attempt, which is to say, a hot hatch. And for the record, examiner number 4, a handbrake turn does too count as an emergency stop.
You have arrived at your destination.
Yes, the game does begin with a little taster that has you behind the wheel of a McLaren Senna, a trophy truck and a Ford Fiesta RS rallycross car, but for your first actual car, you can pick the British-designed Ford Focus RS. It's fast, fun, and a car so good that automotive YouTuber Shmee150 has already bought 3 of them. And I thought the characters in the Horizon Festival lived a ridiculous lifestyle.
Oh, before we start, you've got to know this is strictly sanctioned by the festival. So don't mention this to Kira, alright?
I gotta go. Work to do.
Of course, you could go for the other options, an Audi TTS or a 1970s Dodge Charger, which I'm not convinced would even fit on a British road, but really, the Focus RS is the one to go for if you want the true British automotive experience. Same goes for picking your first rally car, when a bewinged Escort Cosworth is really the only correct choice.
Yes, the Cossie. One of the best out there. Built and tested on the local roads of Essex, wouldn't you believe?
It's just a shame Southend McDonald's car park isn't included on the game's map as well. Maybe in DLC.
In 400 yards, you will arrive at your destination.
Budget flights to the Costa del Sol have probably never been cheaper, but there are still hardy Brits upholding the long-standing tradition of lounging in a shed on a beach. Yes, the beach hut is an actual thing over here, with rows of brightly painted and non-centrally heated huts offering the perfect place to hide from the elements, huddle beneath a blanket, and cook baked beans on a modest gas stove. I'm sure it's more fun than it sounds. Also, if you're wondering, yes, you can jump and land your car on top of them, and no, they don't collapse like a house of cards, something I discovered completely by accident when I crested this dune. Also featured are caravans, which are essentially the same concept as beach huts, but you get to drag them home with you afterwards. There's an old saying, an Englishman's home is his castle. Forza Horizon 4 appears to have misinterpreted that to mean every English person lives in a castle. That's the only explanation for the fact that you can't go 30 seconds in Horizon 4 without tripping over a castle. take Bamburgh Castle on the Northumberland coast, which has been around in some form or other since 500 AD, and is now there solely for you to leave tyre marks all over. Take that, history! Then there's the as yet unidentified castle that forms the location for the Horizon Festival site. Presumably the base from the main stage is busy shaking apart that ancient masonry.
Quite a show.
I try my best.
And that thing about an Englishman's home being his castle? Well, in Horizon 4 you can't actually own one in England, but you can have one in Scotland instead. Earn enough money from racing and doing odd jobs, and you can buy Edinburgh Castle as the most expensive player house in the game. That is, if you don't mind confused tourist groups taking photos of your master bedroom, presumably.
Turn left.
Talking of both history and player housing, your first house in the game will be a delightful cottage in a village called Broadway in the Cotswolds. In perhaps the most unrealistic moment in a game that also features this disco chicken outfit, you're handed the keys to the cottage for free by a film company for helping jump a Bugatti Chiron through a windmill.
The film producers bought this house to use as a set, but when filming wrapped, they just left it. I had a word, and you know what? They said you could have the house for free as a thank you for your work on the movie.
Did they see what I did to that Chiron? They'd probably have to sell the house and a few others like it just to cover the repairs.
Hey, eyes forward! Ignore the camera. Try to look heroic. And that is a wrap, everyone.
Still, best not to look a stupid gift horse in its dumb horse mouth. The Gables will be your base of operations during the early part of the game and will begin the transition from summer into autumn during the prologue section of the game. What's more, this being ye olde Britain, that modest cottage would almost certainly be even older than the United States of America. Gabled stone houses in the Cotswolds became popular after the dissolution of the monasteries back in the 1500s. Upstart whippersnapper the USA wouldn't be born for about another 200 years. Kids, eh? The thing about roads all over the world is that you're not the only person driving on them, and on the British roads of Forza Horizon 4, you'll notice your fellow road users are cruising on the left-hand side. So although you'll be zooming around on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, and drifting sideways across both hand sides, the legally proper thing to do is to stick to the left. This was also the case in Horizon 3, set in Australia, but that's because the convention there was inherited from British road custom. So there you go.
In 400 yards, turn right.
Here's an ancient British history fact. We drive on the left here because in the olden days right-handed Brits rode their horses on the left so that they had their sword arm in position to stab oncoming other horse riders. Don't at me with your history knowledge, Andy. Someone in a pub once told me it and it sounds good, so it's got to be true. The concept of roadworks isn't unique to the UK, and yet there's seemingly a specific Britishness to widespread roadworks that snarl up traffic and keep traffic cone factories in business. The fact has not escaped Forza Horizon 4, which has so many of them, there's even a specific points bonus called Road Open for smashing down roadwork barriers. As someone who seems to sit in a traffic jam caused by roadworks on every single journey, this is pretty cathartic for me.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
It's the law that if you set your game in Britain, you need to have at least one of the old bright red Phoneboxes, so their appearance in Forza Horizon 4 is not so momentous in and of itself. What's more impressive is that the game also contains the newer BT Phoneboxes. So authentic. Usually, a game would just pick one or the other. Horizon 4 has both. That's some next level Britishness going on right there. No word if the Doctor Who police box is in there for the hat trick of roadside boxes. Speaking of stuff available to knock over, it's hard to miss these big fiberglass ice cream signs. They even make the correct noise when you hit them. That's attention to detail. The only thing missing is the vindictive seagull perched nearby, waiting to steal your ice cream when you buy one. Those were some of the Britishest things you'll spot while cruising around these British Isles in Forza Horizon 4. If you're not British, let us know what iconic UK sites you're going to seek out when the game arrives. If you are British, maybe you can do a better job than us of explaining the philosophical concept of a roundabout in the comments. Thanks for watching, and why not subscribe to Outside Xbox for more on Forza Horizon 4 in the near future.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.